One of the most respected members in the Dallas Cowboys front office, in Will McClay, could possibly be not returning to the team based off of these comments made by Jerry Jones.
You've talked a lot about, the decisions that you have to make and that you're evaluating with your coaching staff and with players, too, that are pending free agents. We haven't talked a lot about personnel potentially. Will McClay mentioned in January that he was entering the final year of his deal as well. Are you evaluating Will McClay's future with the organization at all as part of your outlook?
We have, in all of our organization, we have people's agreements, if you will, their contracts. We have them come up. I prefer much shorter contracts than probably the people involved would like to have. And I do that because that's pretty impactful when you can't move because of contract. And so I like to have the flexibility and comfortable with them.
Now look, there was a lot of stuff wrong what we just heard Jerry Jones say, and to be quite frank, he really just exposed his business tactics to us and why we may not be able to get any real front office people working for this organization. Remember, one of our salary cap experts is a guy that his last job before going to the Cowboys, he worked at a bar and grill. It's like a server or something. He went from that to somehow being embedded in the Cowboys organization on the financial side of things. How does that happen? I have absolutely no clue. But that type of thing may be a symptom of the Joneses wanting to give their front office people shorter contracts so that they can have more freedom to get off the contract if they want to. Bro, this has got to be a world-class expo in being cheap for absolutely no reason. The Dallas Cowboys are literally the most profitable sports franchise in the world, man. And Jerry and Steven are still penny pinching on something that doesn't even have a salary cap, something that doesn't even require you to penny pinch. You refuse to pay these people properly, which we know that's why you got Big Mike here. The large reason why he may not be back, because someone may be willing to offer him more money than I'm sure you guys are going to be offering him. And now you're looking at a situation where you may lose one of your best front office people in Will McClay because y'all can't agree on the length of a damn contract, man. So now we starting to see, it's crazy how the tea leaves are really just starting to show all of the deficiencies, not just with this team, but with how this front office is actually operating, the specifics of the deficiencies. We no longer have to chase all these horror stories about the Joneses. We no longer have to create all these conspiracy theories. The Joneses are actually exposing themselves this year as far as all of their deficiencies as front office people. From looking at other teams and talking about how other teams are going to have to pay the piper, but those teams are currently competing for Super Bowls year in and year out. And you're looking at the teams like the Rams a couple years ago, and you kind of poo-pooed their method about going to get in the Super Bowl. And look, the Rams are in the playoffs this season, and we're not. The Rams have already rebuilt that team from going all in for that Super Bowl because they have a competent front office with a competent head coach who understands exactly what he's trying to do with his players, who understands exactly what type of players he needs, and the front office goes out and get those guys by any means necessary. So yes, they went out and sold everything. They sold the farm for that Super Bowl a few years ago, but guess what? All the crops have grown back, Jerry, and your crops are still struggling to stay alive. So they got a Super Bowl, their team is rebuilt, they're back in the playoffs, and yet you and Steven are still pocket watching. Y'all still looking at all the other teams and how they're spending their money, and instead of trying to be competitive, y'all are sitting back being haters, bro. Y'all are legitimately sitting back just being haters, bro. Y'all are sitting back and like, they're going to have to pay the price eventually because they're doing it this way. How about you just do it and worry about that crap down the line? In fact, Jerry, your ass probably won't even be here no more when we have to worry about paying the piper on all these big deals and trying to go out and win everything, right? You don't have that much time left, Jerry. Why are you sitting here acting like y'all can play the long and steady game, bro? This is not the hare versus the tortoise and y'all the tortoise. You are the hare. You are quickly racing towards the end of your life, man. You need to make a move now. And losing someone like Will McClay, well, he hasn't been perfect. I'm not going to be one of the people that ignore all the bad picks and bad scouting that he's done at some points. But Losing someone like Will McClay would absolutely represent the last monocle of respect that the fan base has within that front office. That shit is going to be gone. So y'all better keep Will McClay. Y'all better quit playing with these people talking about we want to do shorter contracts. Who in their right mind will want to sign a shorter deal when they can have some long-term security, bro? Who in their right mind will want to be a 2 or 3 year mercenary when they can have 5 to 6 year security going to another organization, especially anybody worth their salt? And if y'all don't think that anybody's going to be out there willing to pay Will McClay some money to come and maybe be a GM of the organization, then you're out of your mind, man. His track record speaks for itself at this point. He's drafted several All-Pros, and I'm sure there's teams out there that would like him to be a general manager for their organization. I'm sure there's opportunities, and it's going to be a time when Will McClay may feel like, hey, it's time for me to move on since I've capped out here. I don't know about y'all, but anytime I get into a situation with my career where it feels like I've capped out, I'm trying to look for a way out and figure out how I can break through that ceiling. And Will McClay may be very well doing the same thing, especially given that his contract is going to be up after the draft this year. This is his last draft on this contract. So Jerry and company, they have to make a move as it pertains to this entire organization. So we may be going through a real facelift this offseason. Hopefully Jerry comes to his senses and say, hey, screw it. I'm tired of getting blamed. Will, you can be the de facto GM. I'll still call the final shot at the end of the day, but you could be the GM, man. I think that right there would probably be one of the biggest things to inspire any type of hope or confidence from Cowboys fans. If Jerry would be like, you know what? I'm just going to be the good owner that I am, because Jerry is a good NFL owner. He's one of the only owners that takes time to sit down and talk to his players about how to invest properly and just about life. And he is a good NFL owner. His organization is super profitable and marketable and all this other stuff. He just sucks as an NFL GM, y'all. He just sucks as an NFL GM, and he gets a little bit too nosy at times. Bring Will McClay back, man. You better bring Will McClay back. That's all I got to say, or fans are really going to be out on this team more than they already were. But outside of Will McClay news, the Cowboys Pro Bowl roster has been named, and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, Tyler Smith, Kevontae Turpin, and Brandon Aubrey are all going to the Pro Bowl. Now, DeMarvion Overshown should have and probably would have been a Pro Bowl selection had he stayed healthy. Rico Dowdle could very possibly end up being a Pro Bowl alternate once Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Saquon Barkley potentially opt out, getting ready for a playoff run. Okay, so remember, it's possible we can get a couple of more guys, but those 5 guys are the ones that are going to the Pro Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys this season. And John Machota dropped an interesting statistic. The combined amount of missed games out of the 10 Pro Bowlers that we had last season is 49 games this year. We lost 49 games worth of Pro Bowlers this season, y'all. That is absolutely insane, and that's something I don't think many teams would be able to bounce back from, especially when your team doesn't have a solid built foundation, right? Because right now, everything about the Cowboys organization is shaky, including the future of Cowboys cornerback Jordan Lewis, who is about to become a free agent, and this is probably going to be the season in which Jordan Lewis gets the most attention as a free agent, and rightfully so, because Jordan Lewis has absolutely balled this season, and he balled last season too. And this would probably be the season in which Jordan Lewis could probably garner his biggest or his largest contract as an NFL player. So it is a real possibility that he couldn't be back. But J. Lou is a real Cowboy. He said, always, Dallas is my home. My kids were born here. We love to have another season here or a few seasons here. My wife loves it, but we understand it's a business and we don't know what the front office needs. The front office needs you, J. Lou. So hopefully the front office understands that and they don't play around with somebody who I think is like absolutely integral to just the culture building of the Dallas Cowboys. You talk about you want somebody that's a dog, you want somebody that carries a certain type of mentality that's ultra competitive on that football field, but also allows his play to back up that talking and that ultra competitiveness. It is Jordan Lewis out there, man. So he's one of the best slot corners in the league, and I think the Cowboys would be fools to let him walk, man. This would not be the equivalent of losing like a Dorrance Armstrong, one of them type of guys last season. We were able to replace Dorrance Armstrong this year essentially with a Carl Lawson, y'all. I'm just saying. But Jordan Lewis, and especially on a team that's already cornerback deficient, we're running out Andrew Booth. You cannot afford to lose Jordan Lewis and have yet another hole at that corner position that you need to fill. So they better bring Jordan Lewis back 100%. Now, speaking of bringing guys back, let's address some silly Dallas Cowboys rumors, all right? The first rumor, if the Cowboys move Micah Parsons in the offseason, which they're not. The Cowboys have made that clear. Micah's made that clear. I have no clue why these accounts are still engagement farming off of BS, because this is straight BS. There's no world in which Micah Parsons isn't a Cowboy next season, bro. The current betting favorite for some reason to land him in a trade is the Detroit Lions. We're not going to entertain that. We're not going to discuss that. It's absolutely not going to happen. If it did happen, the Detroit would probably win multiple Super Bowls. I'm just saying, especially with the way that team is already built. But it's not going to happen. So it's not worth discussing. So I only brought that part of it up to discuss the next rumor that I'm sure other people are going to talk about a little bit. And it's the speculation reported by the same account that just talked about Micah being traded and stuff. The speculation that former Cowboys Ezekiel Elliott wants to join the Eagles on their playoff run. Wow. Okay, here's the thing with this one. For one, it honestly would be a good fit. I think Kenneth Gainwell is the Eagles' backup running back. I think Ezekiel Elliott could essentially give you that and probably a little bit more. He could be more of a hammer down there in that goal line, probably a better blocker in the backfield. Ezekiel Elliott absolutely could be a Philadelphia Eagle. But I'm just going to say this, speaking from a fan perspective, if this happens, Ezekiel Elliott is going to find himself from being in the Emmitt Smith room for Cowboys lore and Cowboys fan. He's currently like sitting around in the same room as Emmitt Smith. I'm not saying he's as good as Emmitt Smith. I'm saying as far as how Cowboys fans view Ezekiel Elliott, as far as like he's ours. He's our stud running back who gave us these amazing years earlier on in his career. People view him more like an Emmitt Smith type of Cowboys player right now. But if he does this, he's absolutely going into the DeMarco Murray boat. The DeMarco Murray boat means he's going to be forgotten in Cowboys lore. DeMarco Murray was probably one of the best players that was on the Cowboys team that absolutely no one even talks about. No one remembers with nice, fond, and fuzzy memories. And no one discusses DeMarco. It's almost like he didn't exist in Cowboys lore, and that's all because of the team that he went to after he left Dallas. He went to the Eagles, y'all. DeMarco Murray went to the Eagles. And that completely turned the Cowboys fan base, how we felt about, how we were looking. Remember, that offseason, it was between DeMarco Murray and Dez Bryant. Cowboys chose Dez Bryant. DeMarco Murray went to the Eagles. And it's like Cowboys fans was like, oh, screw you too then. Because at the end of the day, man, these players understand, bro. I get it. It's a business, but they understand legacy, lore, all that stuff is a real thing. How you remembered is a real thing. And if you go from being a beloved Cowboy to now joining the Eagles on a playoff run, trying to win a Super Bowl with these guys, yeah, you're going to lose a lot of support from Cowboys fans. And I think that would be the final nail in the coffin for Ezekiel Elliott as far as people looking back on his career with all the warm and fuzzies and stuff. Because at the end of the day, they're going to remember, especially if he was to win a Super Bowl, they're going to remember he went to the enemy and won a ring with them. This would be worse than some Kevin Durant stuff. I'm just saying. But either way, I hope this doesn't happen. I told y'all who I believe he's probably going to end up signing with. I think it's going to be the Chiefs or the Lions or one of those teams. I think it's going to be one of those two, or maybe even the Packers. But if he goes to the Eagles, then I'm going to be real, bro. Zeke, that is going to be a huge blow to your Dallas Cowboys legacy. But at the end of the day, we still them same old Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still them boys? Y'all usually check on me. Listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy, shut up. Hey! I'm still them boys.